what we have is a continuation of a trend in the men's 100 where we just have so much ambiguity about who's going to make the U.S. team, other than Fred Kerley, and who's going to be on the podium, other than Fred Kerley, because we feel good about Fred Kerley. And New York was another example of this.
Yeah, so the winning time is what I thought. I mean, 9:83, I thought we'd see 9:79, but the winning time came up to fruition what I thought. I just thought it would be Coleman running that, not Zarnell Hughes. This is a huge PB for Zarnell. British record, 30-year-old record, something like that.
Yeah, Linford Christie's old mark.
Yeah, so it's phenomenal for Zarnell because Zarnell has never been really a world lead type guy. He's like, hey, I can make a final here and there, but no one ever looked at him as a medal contender. They all looked at him like maybe he can get.
Well, he had been, but the false starts were always his issue too.
So, but this all of a sudden turns him into the Omanyalas of the world, the Simbenes, where it's like, hey, you are legit one who can break up one of the U.S. guys. You are legitimately in the top 3 contention. You run 9:83. You don't do that by accident. But before I go back to him, I'm all over the place. Talk about Coleman.
Go ahead.
I could tell in his post-race interview, he thought that this was going to be a better race than he put out there. Like I think he kind of surprised himself about his poor performance, and because it was kind of all building up to like, all right, you've had some good wind-aided marks. You've been running consistently. You had only one loss all year long.
Yeah.
And so it's like, this is going to be showing it all, and you kind of just like put up a dud. But this is, to me, this looks like, a game 1 of a 7-game series. You got blown out. It's okay. The season is still far ahead of him. And I don't think this says that he can't be the number 2 guy. I honestly still think he's the number 2 guy.
Doubling down. I love it.
I think one bad race shouldn't be enough to sway me to be like, all of a sudden you're not him. And he even mentioned that, like, in college, people race every weekend, right? Mm-hmm. And you have a lot of opportunities to put yourself out there of where you are in the landscape of your competition. And he even admitted, like, we don't really get that. You only get a few opportunities. So when you don't run well in one of your few races, it feels even more dramatic. It's like, you lose a baseball game.
You got the next day.
6 other games that week. You lose a football game on a bye week. You got to go the whole 2 weeks dealing with that loss. And that's kind of like what Christian Coleman's going to have going to USA's. But I think he's going to bounce back at USA's. I think he'll win USA's because I don't think Fred Kerley will run the 100 final. But
I admire your confidence in him. I'm sure he appreciates your confidence in him. But again, I just think, yes, he could get second, but there's a list of 10 guys now, I think, who could get second. And he's one of those guys just because it is so open. Now, maybe you could argue, okay, with this performance, Hughes has separated himself from everybody else.
No.
But I've watched enough of this season to know somebody's the number 2, and then then 2 weeks later, someone else is going to pop up, or he's going to go run in a Diamond League, and then he'll run a good race, but there'll be someone who's just a little bit better on that day. I think Coleman can make the team still. It was interesting in the post-race interview, he mentioned his start being an issue and how that just sets the tone for everything else. Okay. And, the reaction time was slower than everybody else in that top 5. But I think that's, in a way, could be construed as a good thing because he's always had a really good start. So I would assume he could get that back and be back in business. But, yeah, big race for Hughes. Blake, another solid one. Again, everything 2 through 10 is all written in pencil for me.